Hello, Tad McClelland here. I'm going to continue working on belt. I'm going to start doing some punching and stitching. Um, yeah, here we go, right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this. Then I am going to get my cutting board. Oh yeah. So I'm going to keep it pretty close to the edge. So I'm just going to go 1/8 of an inch there. Okay, 1/8 of an inch. Right along there. I'm going to stop shy of the end. Do the same thing over here. Line it up at that 1/8 of an inch, which is that first mark. So there's that first mark right there. There's the solid line. The next set of dashed lines is 1/8 inch. All right, now there's my marker. There we go. I'm going to kind of eyeball around the corner here. Get it as close to 1/8 of an inch as I can. That's about right. And there you go. Now I got a little line to follow with my marker. Stitch spacing marker. Okay. When you're doing corners like this, working, you can kind of see how I'm working my wrist back and forth a little bit. There we go. It helps it roll, so you don't roll right. Otherwise, you just roll right off. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and poke the holes. Now, this does the same thing as this. Just a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer, and you don't have to worry about sticking the awl through your finger, which is nice. And it does a clear hole clear through, so it makes it a little bit easier to stitch, especially when you start doing thicker things. So, got all the holes punched, and I'm going to start sewing. Well, I do have a few more holes, I suppose. Yeah, sorry. Since I'm not sure if you guys have rivets or what size, we'll just do this with thread. So essentially, yeah, so what we're going to do, I'll go ahead and pan my, so you don't have to look at my face anymore. I'll go ahead and pan this down so you can see a couple of different views here. So, I'm not sure how well you can see me actually move this down. Better anyway. All right, so we're going to take this and fold it over, just like that. So I'm going to fold it over to where both of the ends of my notch line up like that. And then I'm going to hold it and run my punch through. And mark. And would you believe they actually line up? So we got one there. Here's my thing. So we're going to double that one up because we're going to do a decorative stitch. Right, well, maybe not. I need to hold where that folded over. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the needle through there. Hold it in place so it stays lined up. So I'm going to do another row. Make a little circle. I'm just going to eyeball it. I think we can do it right there. Right there. Right there. An actual project, I would take a lot more time to do this, but for instructional purposes, it gets the point across. Yeah, that'll work. So that's just to add strength. Now, normally I would get something like this. This is actually about the right size. Mark all the way around in a nice circle, and I would get a nice little circle mark and use my spacer. But like I said, right now we're just trying to get her put together for you, and that should do it right there. So don't sew that together yet. You can do all the way around the outside. Don't sew this one yet because you have to put your buckle in first. Okay, so now we got all that done. I'm going to do a couple of different stitches. Basically, the decorative stitch, if you put it around the outside on here, it's going to wear it. Eventually, it'll wear off, which is fine as long as you've got as long as you've got another stitch on the inside here. I mean, it's going to take a long time for it to wear off, but the best thing to do is to put your saddle stitch on first. That's this one, and have it go all. All right, so I'm going to use that same thread again. Okay. By the way, this is about the right size for a dog collar. I forgot to mention that earlier, and so is this. So pretty good size for a dog collar right there. In fact, that's kind of what this is for, I think. All right, so the saddle stitch take all the way around. I'm not going to do it. This is just for showing, yeah, the basics of it. Yeah, so I'm not going to do it for this video. I might sit down and do it in my spare time, but pick a spot to start. Okay, so you get the idea. We want to do that all the way around, but for speed purposes and just so they can show you guys how to get to this fast. Yeah, so you get a good example. I'm going to go ahead and stop there with that stitch. So I'm just going to use the same thread. I've got plenty here, so I'm just going to use the same thread and go back over this to show you what one of these stitches looks like on the outside here. And I'll go ahead and do this one. This one you can't do. It's near impossible. You always wind up with one forward. You can do a one forward stitch where you just use one thread to kind of keep wrapping it around. But yeah, this I like using two threads. It just makes it look more professional and more finished, in my opinion. But excuse me, to each his own. So I'm going to go ahead and do this double cross. On the edge as an edge stitch. So that being said, you're going to want one of these. So this owl is not only to poke holes, but it's also to make the holes just slightly bigger, so when you've already got thread through it, you can put more through it. If you try to put one of these needles through this hole, through this one or the next one, it is going to be rough. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-poke a couple of these again. So again, so this time instead of going, we're going to wrap around. Okay. So we're going to actually wind up with one of these stitches as well. So actually, I'm just going to keep going with it. So I'll show you what it winds up looking like if this was the only stitch that you put in. So if you didn't start out with this one, here's what it's going to look like. So I'll just keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the back side over here, and I'm going to skip a hole on the back. So I'm skipping this first hole right here. And give you a couple of different ways to look at it there. So skipping that one, and I'm going to the next one right there. So I'm looping it over the top. Like that. Okay. So that's one of them right there, okay? So now I'm going to go back one on the same side. I'm going to come back one and push it through. So I'm going to wind up on the opposite side that I started and one advance. Okay, so just like that. So same thing with this side. I'm going to go up one, or I'm sorry, skip two. So I'm going to go through the same exact hole that I just went through with the other one. Oops. And it helps if I don't get, oh, I hit it right. Never mind. I just got this tail in the way. And I'm going to make sure that my stitch lines up right in the center, right over top of each other. Make it look good. Okay, so then I'm going to come back one. This is another one of those spots where you need to be careful. You need to actually pull it back in the same direction that it came through, so I don't go through my thread in case I got to pull it out. There we go, just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to pull it tight. Boom. So there's the first one. Okay. So remember I said we always start on the same side, right? Start on the right hand side or start on the left. So the best way to remember this is to start on the front or the back. Where this is my front, this is my back. This is what's not going to be seen. This is what's going to be seen. So not that it matters too much, but You need to remember that to start on the same side every time. So usually it's the last needle that you touched that you're going to start with on almost every stitch. So we're not going to go back here, because if we were going to do this all the way around, we would actually, that would be our last stitch, is to fill that void right there. So, and, all right, so I'm going to go across that. I'm going to skip that one right there and go to the next one. Up two, back one, just like the other. Just like the other, except we're going around the outside of it. Up two, back one. And you'll notice it's getting harder to push that needle through. That's another reason why we have that awl. And why I keep pliers nearby. Okay, up two, back one. Now we're going to go through that same hole up there. Line it up, and I'm going to go back one. And pull it tight. Cross it over and skip one. And I'm back one. So, to give you an idea what that looks like. So you're always moving forward, move forward two and back one. Forward two, back one. And it winds up, when you get a full stitch, they line up. Full stitch means the whole portion of both sides. That's a full stitch. So it winds up being right back to where they're right across from each other. And you can start your next stitch. So if they're not next to each other, you know something's wrong. I'll do a couple more here so you can see that. Now you've got the idea of that. I'm not going to take that any further. So this other one is very similar to that. You're just going up one. So we'll go ahead and do that one. And that one you don't have to have the back stitch on it. So it's just cross, 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 cross. Essentially, you're just making loops with both sides. So, yeah. So you can either do a loop with one side. So I'm just going to take it up one right there. Well, let's, yeah. So this stitch, you're not going to start with the last one. It's the same side. You always go with the same side. So since this is only a single stitch, you're going to wind up on the same side every time with the same needle. Oh, we got a knot in there. Well, that explains a little. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of what that looks like. A little bit different. You don't have crosses on either side like you do on this one. This one you got a cross that you get a cross on both front and back and on the edge, whereas this one you just have the cross on the edge. And you also wind up having the saddle stitch included on that, whereas this one there's no saddle stitch. Yeah, there is a way to do that, and that's where what we call I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah. Anyway, so from there, I'm going to go ahead and show you, since I'm right there at this circle, I'm going to show you how to do this with the buckle in it. And then I'm going to call it good for this video. Okay, so we just need to make sure that we have this set to where it's in the right spot. So the tab here, the lock for your belt, always goes out away from the belt. Not so it doesn't go with the tail, it goes away from the tail of the belt. So it's going to go like that. Okay, since this is the outside of our belt. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult since I already have thread on it. But I'm going to put that through far enough to get my locking tab through. I'm going to bend this over and pull it through the other direction. And I need to pull my thread through as well. I'm going to go ahead and put that through one of the holes right there. Help line it up for a second. Ask your teacher if she's got any binder clips. These work great for holding your piece together so you don't have to. So once you get it lined up, use a binder clip. Just like that. Now you don't have to hold it together. It'll do it for you. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out what hole I'm going to go through to start here. Of course, it's got to be one that's already got thread in it. Make it more difficult. Okay. So this, unless you put another set of holes around the outside right here, your decorative stitch is not going to work because there's nothing else to go around unless you want to try to get up underneath here, which is a royal pain. And actually it wouldn't work anyway because you got to go through both sides of the belt. Okay, so if you do want a decorative stitch, it's not a big deal. You just add a hole out away from every one of these holes. Even if they're not spaced the same as these, they need to be just directly out from. So say this was, your center point was right here on the radius, all the way out straight from the center point of your circle, or whatever, center point of your circle. You're going to go outward in a radius straight out to that. Okay. And same thing on this side, you would have to do another hole outside of this all the way around. And that would allow you to do kind of a decorative stitch. Otherwise, it's just a saddle stitch, which is not a big deal. They look just as good. Well, hold just as good. Okay. So, from there, I need to make my holes bigger. Maybe. And get them lined up. There it is. Okay. Here's one side. The thicker the leather, the harder it is to pull the thread through, or at least the needles. This is where you really need to make sure every stitch you're pulling tight. Alright, so now that I got a couple of stitches, I'm going to go ahead and pull my extra needle out of there. Alright, so continue that all the way around. And then to hide your stitches, this is where I was talking about with between layers. So once you make it all the way back around to your starting point, you might even go past one more so it's doubled up. And then so you want to make sure that you're finished so there's not a missing stitch in there somewhere. And what you're going to do is push back. Let's just say that I made it all the way around and that's my last stitch right there. So I just made this stitch and I'm going back to that one. I'm going to go ahead and push it through right here and then split it, which is a pain. Oops. Between leathers. It's easier to do it on an outside edge. Let's get one of your round ones out. Perfect timing for one of those. Or even this. You can stick this in between and kind of figure out about where that hole is and turn it and push it up and back out through. But these are very large. Makes it pretty difficult. But this there we go. Never said it was easy. There we go. There, just like that. Now, the fun part is you get to do this with both of them. There you go. So I'm going to pull that one through like that. And I'm not going to pull it quite tight yet. I'm going to put this one through as well, doing the same thing, except from the other side. That's the best way I've found to hold them. I really picked a bad spot. There we go. Alright, now once you get them pulled all the way through, both of them, now you can pull them tight. Because that's going to pull it tight right around. And doing a little jerk thing helps really pull that tight. And you can either, yeah. Most of the time you can just cut it right there. So you can use your scissors, get in there real close like that, cut them, and if you can split it open like that a little bit, you can push those ends down inside, just like that. Right there, no more ends. So get rid of all your extra. Alright, so we got to use this finally. Those do come in really handy for stuff like this. And not to say it's not difficult, because if it was easy, everybody would be able to do it. And everybody would do it. Anyway, so there's some examples of what you can do for decorative stitches. So again, you can do them there, or you can even do them across here. I mean, for a belt, that's a lot of work and a lot of thread. But you can also do it in little spaces, about yay long or something like that. If you wanted to do the same thing, you could actually make holes, inside of here, and do 2 to 4 inches of an area inside the belt and in length down the belt. Now the only thing you need is holes for the notches. Okay, so you can do that a couple of different ways. I do recommend getting a punch for something like that. And punch size is not too critical, as long as it's big enough. These are also something you can get on Tandy Leather. They come in sets. There's a set that has this style. I mean, they're different sets. There's a lot of different things that you can get. Just depends on how much you're wanting to spend. So for this, typically your belt loop or your belt holes are about 1 inch to 1.5 inches apart. So let's get our ruler here. So okay, we're going to mark a 1/2 inch, because this is 1 inch wide. So 1/2 inch is right down the center, right? So for as long as your tail is, you want to come in from the outside edge of your tail at least 1 inch. And where did my ball go? There it is. So, and I'm not going to mark a line. All I'm doing is marking where my holes are going to go. So, and I can put a hole there because I'm going to put a hole in it. So every inch mark. So on your belt, that's 1.5 inches wide. Your holes are going to be 3/4 of an inch. With in the center is 3/4 of an inch. So 1/2 of 1/2. Sorry, 1/2 of 1.5 inches is 3/4 of an inch. So this mark right here. So you'd be sitting like that. On this it doesn't look centered, but on this it is. So I'm going to put in 4 holes here. This one is not going to work. This is just for showing you purposes. Okay, so I've got 4 holes right there, and like I was saying before about letting your eyes kind of line it up, after a while you get used to the way things look. And I've got a hole there, and I'm going to center this punch right over top of that little mark that I've got. And I've found if I twist this in the same direction that it tightens, then it never loosens up as I pull these out. But I'm going to show you what I do to finish up any of my projects. Anyway, so now that we got the holes there, this is how that works for belts. Just like any other belt, stick that through. And back around, there you go. That is how to make a belt. And obviously I did not finish it. But a little bit more time, and and however you'd like to finish it off. Same thing like with a dog collar. You could do this for a dog collar. Obviously it's going to be longer, but that's where your tape measure comes in. So, and to use the tape measure, let's see if I can find something. Let's make believe that this piece of tape is your waist. What you're going to want to do is go around like this. go until it's just kind of snug. And you can kind of see where that line, that metal piece lines up right there, right about the 12. And not bad for reading upside down and backward, right? So right at about at the 12-inch mark. Now see, since we're going to make ours longer than 12 inches and the belt is adjustable for some size, then 12 inches is okay, and then we're going to add however much our overlap is. So if it was a dog collar, 4 holes extra, right? So 4 holes extra is from your 12. It's another 16 inches plus whatever you need for the buckle, right? So folding over just like this, I said 2 inches, so we're going to add another 2.5 inches. 16, 17, 18 and a half, 19 inches. So if our dog's neck was this big around, then an 18-inch long strip of leather was enough. Or 19, sorry. 18 would probably be enough too. But 19-inch long strip of leather would be enough to do that. Now you'd have to, if you're using thinner leather like this, you'll have to make 2 of those. And then sew them together like this. Unless you don't mind it stretching and falling apart. So my suggestion as far as your tape measure goes, grab the end that's got the larger number on it and to put it away and roll it up on that end. So if you do wind up using it and you only have a little small project, then all you have is the small numbers. So, all right, so I am going to go ahead. This is going to be a longer video. You know, everybody skips through them anyways. But to go through, well, I'll just start another one. So on the next video, I'm going to go through how to make, or a couple of ideas on how to make pouches. This was a wallet, but essentially it's a pouch. You can do all kinds of things with these things, but to finish this video up, I've been letting it warm up here. So on everything that I complete, I have a brand that I put on it. Not sure, it's kind of hard to see. Kind of hard to see what it looks like. See if I can, there we go. That's what my brand looks like. It's my initials put in kind of a monogram. And I can put this on wood or leather or plastic or anything. And usually I just find a spot in a corner somewhere and burn it in. See if it's hot enough. There you go. And so on this one, I would more than likely I'd put it right in the center of that little round spot. I'm gonna line it up there. There we go. So I don't have my rack made yet. So I'm gonna hurry up, turn it off so it doesn't burn everything, and so I don't burn myself. But this is something else that I bought on Amazon, believe it or not. There's a seller on the site that makes these custom. You just need to have a picture of it or a drawing or something like that and sizes. So pretty neat. Yeah, this is what it is on the beginning and end of each one of my videos, and like I said, it's just my initials. So T, A is upside down, and then an M. So anyway, that's it for this video. I'll come back with another one on pouches. See you next time.